Hello Guardians, both new and old. I'm Burger, and I'm going to show you an everyday workhorse build for Warlock. This build has been my love child ever since Wolfsbane dropped in Ashen Iron, and it just got better with Renegades. There's a couple of moving parts, so I'll explain them, including a bit of tech for the Wolfsbane exotic axe. So let's get into the character select scene, pick some things apart, and I'll explain my thought process behind it. When it comes to any individual parts of this build, even if you don't have one or two pieces, you can still have a lot of success. Tinker at your own risk, but also to your own pleasure. When it comes to weapons, I'd recommend something long range and something mid range, as the axe is going to have you up close quite a bit, and so filling out those small gaps in the build is probably a good recommendation. I would recommend any solar weapon with heal clip, as it will allow you to take advantage of one of our fragments and also tie in with our exotic of choice. Our exotic of choice, weapon-wise, is Wolfsbane. It's a very powerful weapon that gives you a lot of sustain, and I also have a bit of tech for it that lets you have infinite ammo and also infinite charge of its nano assault trait. Make sure you have a Relentless Strikes refit catalyst on this thing, and it will carry you far. Our exotic armor of choice for today is going to be Mantle of Battle Harmony, something that gives you super generation on final blows and also a big damage boost when you hold on to your super. As for our super and our general subclass setup, we're going with Solar for the dedicated monoclass synergy. Song of Flame is really nice not only for damage and also for general ignition triggering and for balancing allies. The only other guaranteed parts of this build that I would very much recommend is Healing Grenade with Touch of Flame, as being able to proc 2 times Restoration and upkeep it with one of our fragments is very, very powerful for the sustain of this build. I would recommend running Ember of Tempering just because having increased health, increased regeneration cooldown, increased chunks of it, Fire Sprites grant you with Ember of Mercy, you go for Ember of Benevolence so that whenever you throw a grenade or do use heal clip, it grants you even more ability regen, or Ember of Empyrean for additional upkeep so that you can keep that respiration up for a very long time. We're also going to go to the shooting range to show you that bit of tech on Wolfsbane, because the build is all about using solar weapons to upkeep. But you can only upkeep so much with a heavy weapon, right? Well, that's not the case with Wolfsbane, and I'm going to show you why I fell in love with this weapon. It's fairly simple. It charges up a bar above your super, and when it's full, you can use its special attack, deal a bunch of damage, that kind of deal. When you do right-click, it gives you the things, but watch this. Look at the character model. Is it giving the nano assault charge instantly? No. I'm going to Icarus dash. What do you see here? Listen for the sound. Watch what happens when I do it again. What's happening is that the nanites that spawn, just like Outbreak Perfected, have travel time. So, you gain nano assault charge if you're empty whenever those make contact with you. How can we abuse this? Well, when you use the right click, it will generate a bunch of nanites that move to your location, in the same case when you kill enemies. So how are we going to take advantage of this? With a weapon swap. Watch the nano assault bar. Right click, swap to primary, swap back. What ends up happening, why this tech is so powerful and potent, is because nano assault gives you ammo, up to 14 rounds I believe when you activate it. And you are able to infinitely loop it by using this method. Get a couple of kills, right click when you have around 3 seconds left, and then swap to another weapon, and then swap back. This allows that travel time of the nanites to make contact with you after you've already disabled nano assault, thereby giving you basically the whole charge back. This also works on single target DPS, whether it's a big boss, a champion, or anything you just really don't like. 2 light attacks and then a heavy attack. Using Relentless Strikes will help your ammo economy be very, very potent. Again, swap, swap back. It's very consistent once you get the timing down. I recommend practicing a bit, and it lets you upkeep it incredibly well. All for very, very consistent total DPS and very nice, consistent total damage. This is healing you every time nanites make contact. If there's any other enemies around, it'll be killing them and proccing restoration. You will be doing a lot of damage and a lot of healing. And so, why don't we take this build out and take it for a spin? Let's try some everyday things that you might find yourself doing and see how it measures up. Our first category is going to be something that's equivalent to normal mode story content. Any sort of match-made activity in the portal that isn't going to be too difficult. This one specifically is the 300 light version. This is relatively easy work for any build, let alone a build like this. Obviously, individually, every individual kind of mission, whatever you're running, in this case, the Warrior, the Empire Hunt from Beyond Light, is going to have its own specific quirks, but this build is such a great all-rounder, it's prepared for it. Long-range enemy targeting you, swap to your long range and deal with them. Mid-range dealing with you, you're around your allies, use your auto-rifle, proc heal clip, get a bunch of healing and proc Ember of Benevolence and Ember of Tempering for increased health and ability regeneration. The only thing you technically need to worry about are any sort of bosses in these activities, so feel free to proc the ×4 from Mantle of Battle Harmony by getting a kill, and then also proc your super, because it stacks with it with Radiant. Therefore, you can just Nova down something with the axe, and use the swap trick, as seen here, to already have the axe back going into the next encounter. Simple as that. Be wary on an activity-by-activity basis, the example here being in the Warrior. My friend there on the right realizes the hard way that it doesn't matter what sustain you have, don't run into exploding enemies. Use opportunities like this to recharge your super. Use Mantle of Battle Harmony. Use Heal Clip to proc Ember of Benevolence and Ember of Tempering. Use this as an ability to build up your supercharge so that you'll be getting the damage bonus on Wolfsbane in between encounters, and to progress your heavy ammo meter if you do end up running low on anything. An example of another thing, by having a sword, you're able to pull off some sick maneuvers. You can jump over the gap here in the Warrior and just nuke all of the Vex that spawn here. And there's basically no downside. They pretty much aren't going to kill you in any way. You have constant restoration up. You're getting chunk healing every single time Wolfsbane gets a kill. You're pretty untouchable in activities like this. Even pre-boss fights, which can drag out in some of the more modern Fireteam Ops content, you are going to be relatively fine. No matter the ad density, you have sustain that is not sort of prerequisite on kills. Even the bosses of these activities, though they have their individual mechanics, you are going to be able to sustain yourself, whether it be damaging them or killing the ads that spawn around. The second they teleport in, you're just going to be able to nuke them at pretty much any difficulty. It's very, very useful to have a build like this that's fun, uses a fun weapon, uses a powerful weapon, puts it into a basic build, and it can do very, very well as a workhorse build. If you're going through Fireteam Ops, chasing after daily focus rewards, if you're going after that little bit more for the power climb, if you're farming an activity for a specific weapon, this build is going to be very, very useful for that. But builds can't just be useful in one kind of activity. What else is this build good at? Mid-range difficulties are stuff like Arena Ops, Pinnacle Ops, something where there's either a comical amount of enemies, or just some beefier enemies mixed in there. Baned combatants show up a lot more, and it can be a little difficult to keep yourself alive, because these also have light mechanics typically. But even something like Ketchcrash is absolutely no problem for a build like this. Because of the built-in damage and sustain, for example in the clip here, you're able to lock down this entire spawn location. Because of the ad density of Arena Ops, you're able to absolutely stop any of these enemies from sort of endangering anyone on the place. Locking down an entire spawn point for enemies is pretty potent, especially on higher difficulties if respawn tokens are limited. Depending on what you RNGs us into, if it is Arena Ops, you might find yourself in an in-between encounter like this. No matter what you're doing, be it doing the actual mechanics or just ad clearing while everyone else does them, you will be able to stay alive and you will be able to kill anything you encounter in this level of activity as well. Taking a break from the ad clear, again, you don't need kills to outright stay alive, you just need to do damage with Wolfsbane, and then eventually you'll get a kill and you get your stuff back. As long as you're actively contributing towards bosses when they show up, dealing with mechanics when they're just like next to you, and then taking 2 seconds and then just nuking an entire wave of ads that spawn, even though the turret's shooting at you that should melt you instantly. You are the wall that these enemies will break upon. The mechanics are easy to do in these activities, and they're not, raid level or anything. Even the boss that we randomly got here just sort of funnels in through this area. And of course, with the area and single target damage that you have with this build, you're able to, blend and cheese grater and just do a fantastic job of staying alive. There's no real danger in these tier of activity with this build either, which is why I enjoy it. Especially if you're in the version of this that has respawn tokens, be sure to stick around your allies, proc Ember of Benevolence, use Song of Flame when they're nearby to extend its duration, and then, more importantly than anything, a good defense, a good offense. If you feel the need to rush down the boss, killing him turns all the enemy AI off and they'll all run away to despawn, so just run him down and get that loot. This build has absolutely no problems with any sort of mid-tier stuff, any sort of legendary campaign, any sort of arena or pinnacle ops. You are going to be able to cruise right on through. But what about activities that are a step beyond? Activities where there might be some alternative game rules at play. That, more than either of these, is where this build truly shines. Lawless Frontiers is one of the best activities they've ever added to the game. Like never before, having alternative game rules like no health regeneration turned on, and invasions to be expected every time if you're selecting the right nodes, it's incredibly tense, sometimes very difficult, because they spawn so many enemies of very chunky nature at you, and it can be difficult to stay alive, it can be difficult to continue killing things, but this build, being the Omni tool it is, allows you to adapt. Focusing on killing, focusing on sticking with your team, applying heal nades when you can, applying heal clip when you can, using Wolfsbane and just annihilating those chunky enemies. Because they are a lot of orange and yellow bars, because they have such high health pools, it won't matter for this build, because you don't have to worry about low primary damage. You can just run in, healing nade your ally, and then just start chunking everything, wiping them out, all while buffing your allies and doing it yourself. You don't need any extra cool bonuses, you don't need to use any Renegade abilities, though they are useful. And especially, be wary on the Frontier, because even though you might have thought, oh wow, I just read that guy, this is the only time I died during this run by the way, don't forget that they also have Renegade abilities. Because you can't survive a one-shot. Being Lawless Frontiers, don't be a party pooper. Help out with the mechanics. You, with this build, are going to be able to stay alive very, very easily. Even when you're grabbing this cargo, the handle bonus of Wolfsbane will give you big damage resist. And if you need damage resistance and instantly fresh up bunch of restoration, this build can do that. Foaming choke points with Vex Deflector is particularly nice with this build, though don't get bogged down. A bunch of orange bars with ablative armor? No problem. Shred them to pieces. Be the bedrock of your team. Run around, stay alive. Who cares if 30 enemies are shooting you, if you're standing and fighting fanatics, if wyverns are running up and down smashing you? It just doesn't matter with this build. Especially given the no health regeneration. Even when you should by all rights die with a normal build, you just don't with this. And you can grab that loot, heal up, and get the hell out of there really quickly and really efficiently. This build is built for endgame activities. While I wouldn't recommend soloing Pit of Heresy with it, it is absolutely potent in day-to-day difficult activities. If you're going for a pinnacle drop, a specific focus drop, or if you're helping out in a raid setting. I've had great success with this in the beginning encounters of many raids. And I hope y'all enjoyed. This is me sharing this love child of a build for me. If you have any ideas of any other builds you'd like to see, or any questions about how this one works, just let me know. Obviously, I can't show its full depth in a video, and that's something people need to realize about D2 builds. Tinker use something else. Use Xenophage, use Eyes of Tomorrow, swap around to different exotics, swap around to different subclasses, use on Prismatic if you want. Do whatever you'd like. But if you want to plug and play and have a good time with this build, let me know, because this thing works very, very well, is very potent, will keep you alive, and you get to use the funny Quicksilver Axe. It's a very fun build, and I hope someone gets a kick out of it. Thank you very much for watching, and again, if you have any recommendations on weapons you want to see builds of, classes you want to see builds of, let me know, and I'll try and get to it. But until then, I'll see you Starside, Guardians.